It's showtime, it says. We're not expecting too many people to show up this morning. I don't know if anybody received any notification that we were going live. I set this up a couple of days ago, so hopefully the notification went out. But it's been 2 months since we've gone live. We've had a lot going on in 2 months. The last time we went live, we were recovering from the cinnamon vanilla coof. And then we just took some time to just kind of regroup, recoup a little bit from being sick the way that we were. So we really haven't done any lives, but we've been doing a lot of planning. Good morning, Grace and Fire. Hello. It's so good to see you. While you're here, since you just chimed in, I want to get an instant reaction so that you can see.
Instant reaction.
Instant reaction. Ready?
Hang on. Okay.
The sunflowers that are growing out by the chicken coop. How gorgeous are they?
They're beautiful.
How big are they? Show her how big they are. Not the whole plant, just the heads.
Oh, the heads. Well, you got
like this big.
You got one center that's that big.
Yes. So you're recovering from. She's recovering from cinnamon.
From the vanilla too, huh? Yeah.
Oh, it takes a while. I still get a little bit of a cough every once in a while, but I'm feeling better. Jim's feeling better.
I literally did not feel myself fully recovered for at least probably 3 weeks after, and I recovered pretty quick on stuff.
Yeah, it lingered for a long time, just the fatigue. But I wanted to share with you, Glenda, that the sunflower seeds that you sent us, we planted them all around the chicken coop. One of them it had to have been 8-9 foot tall before we had a storm, and it fell over.
It was an easy 2 to 3 feet above the
chicken coop, and that's 6 foot.
And that's 6 foot.
So beautiful, beautiful sunflowers. So thank you so much for sending the seeds. We have several plants that have popped up, and this is the first year that we've actually had sunflower heads that developed seeds that we're going to be able to harvest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened before. Maybe it was because they were store-bought seed packets, and maybe that was the deal. Maybe they were hybrids. I don't know. But I never had anything with a sunflower head where I was actually able to dry it out and save it and get seeds. These are full of seeds. So I am so excited that next year I'm going to be able to just do like Monica does over at Bland's Promised Land Ranch. I'm just going to skip and jump and just zhuzh everything with sunflower seeds. And hopefully we'll just get a bunch of just blooms everywhere, and then it'll just start repopulating. I'm going to skip and dance and zhuzh like a princess. So awesome. I'm so glad. I have no idea on the variety now, and you're welcome. Thank you. So my goal is every year just have a bunch of sunflower seeds popping up everywhere, or sunflowers, and not have to do the work and just have them everywhere. So that's my goal. I want it to be when people drive by, they're like, oh my gosh, look at the field of sunflowers. We did have one big sunflower plant come up down in the meadow where the donkey is. So I don't know if a bird picked up a seed and then dropped it. I don't know, but we did have some sunflowers grow down there. Don't be surprised if you get a few volunteers next year. Yeah, that's what I want. I want volunteers everywhere.
Is it because the wind blows them?
The wind blows them. The birds pick them up and drop them. When they die off and then the seeds fall, you'll get the volunteer plants up. I didn't weed my garden this year at all, and so we had a lot of volunteer everything everywhere, including tomatillos growing in random spots, all
crazy
kinds of
spots.
Weird stuff.
Tomatillos, the archway walking into it, you can't even get through it. I mean, it's just like a jungle.
Well, that's the morning glories. I only planted like 5 or 6 morning glories. The morning glories are so compact that over the arbor, you literally have to peel your way through to get in. So,
and when you're trying to bring bags of feed in, and you're kind of being off your nose. And
oh well, wait until we move in that big thing I want to put in the big thing we're going to put in the chicken coop later. That's going to be a fun thing to get through that archway with all of those plants. Anyways, so we haven't come to you guys live for a little while, but we wanted to give you an update on everything that we're putting together for our trip. We did a lot of planning, and then we just changed gears and changed it all up. We're still going to the same destination, but our route has changed. Our plans have changed. We're going to talk a little bit about it. today about what we've got coming up. Um, but we're not going to say when we're going. So we need to be careful what we say. I don't want to give out too much information
It's going to be
because I do want things to be a surprise
between now and the end of the year.
Between now and the end of the year, because we didn't plan it in the summertime because we didn't want things to be too sweltering hot. Especially with the direction I was going at first when we were planning things, it was just going to be too hot for some of the things I wanted to do, and I knew 2 days into it I would be absolutely exhausted with the things I wanted to do with the heat index. So we waited to plan this after the weather starts cooling, so after Labor Day and then before the snow falls. So in the next month or two, we'll be taking our trip, and without giving away too much detail, but we're also going to be doing the giveaway for whoever the winner is for our change jar. Do you have the change jar there? We had everybody guess that tuned in for our live. Only the entries for the live that we had 2 months ago when we busted open Pinata. Only those two. Only that. Those guesses count. So this is our change jar full of change, and I looked over all of the footage. From that day. No, it's fine. To determine who our winner was. So we'll be discussing that in a little bit. It's good. Oh yeah, I'm not going to say when, because if we say when, that's just going to invite everybody in a 1,000-mile radius to, visit our home when we're not here. Although it will be monitored. We will have family here. But I do say if somebody wants to try to take a guess when we're leaving, just know all that money that we took out of the pinata is going to be with us. So it won't be here for you anyways. We will leave a stack of unpaid bills on the counter. So if you do decide to pay us a visit and break into our home while we're gone, please pay the bills, and we'll leave some dog treats. Right. So you can give the dogs a dog treat before the pit bull, takes off a leg or something. Yeah. So we'll be announcing the winner for this in a little bit. Hello, Digging for Health. Welcome.
So is this going to be a little bit?
In a little bit, we'll announce the winner for that. And the winner doesn't have to be present during the live today. Did you hear that thing hit the floor, how heavy that is with change? Oh, my gosh. So, Glenda, you're going to be interested in our new plans because I think it's going to affect your aunt and where and how I possibly send her postcard for our Team Weenie Watchers. So pay attention for that, and then maybe you can advise me a little bit on which way you think I should go with it. But I'm going to change our banner here real quick because I do want to talk about our Team Weenie Watchers real quick because it's a pretty neat thing. So we have a few members of Team Weenie Watchers, and what that is when we go out on an excursion that involves Colonel Mustard, our wiener dog, who is stuffed and in a hamburger bun. If you belong to Team Weenie Watchers, then when we have an excursion that is kind of like a planned excursion with Colonel Mustard, we shout you out in the video, we put you in the video, and then you get a postcard from our location. So Grace and Fire's aunt has joined Team Weenie Watchers for this big trip that we're taking to Nashville. So I'll be sending her a postcard from Nashville. I'll be shouting her out in one of our videos in Nashville, and I'll be adding her to the very end of the video as a video shout out for her channel and for her personally. So I just want to say, and I'm doing all the talking, Papa Jim is just, he's blended into the background. You guys have no idea how busy I've been. I've been so busy. My mind is so busy over this trip that there's times I can't sleep.
She literally does not sleep.
I don't. I'll be up literally all night long. He'll come out at 5:30 when he gets up to go to work, and I'll still be sitting on the couch. He's like, "Were you out here all night?" Couldn't sleep. So I'm planning and I'm plotting and I'm finding things for our trip.
Be careful though, because usually when you do this, you end up getting sick.
I know. So then when he goes to work, I have my coffee and then I'll go back to bed for a couple of hours if I'm lucky. If I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Usually, truly what happens is he'll go to work. I'll think I'm going to go to get an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours worth of sleep because I didn't sleep all night. And then I lay down and like 20 minutes later, my eyes pop open. It's like, you didn't let the chickens out. And then my eyes drift closed. It's like, they'll be good for another half an hour. And then I can't do it. So I get up to let the chickens out. And then the dogs need something. And then something else catches my attention. And then I get on the internet and I start planning again. Hello, Nisi. Welcome. Our dog decided she's nocturnal and has been waking me up at 2:30. You're sleep deprived too.
So tell her what my dog does.
What your dog does?
Yeah.
You tell him what, because I don't know which dog you're speaking about and what action.
My moose.
Your moose.
So I take care of the dogs in the morning, and she's usually asleep because she's always up late. Anyway, so and then I take care of my dogs, feed, do everything, and I call her my moose. She's my she's pit bull and husky. Anyway, so
and lab.
Yeah, huh?
And yellow lab.
And yellow lab, God only knows. And she was a rehome.
You should have named her 57. Heinz 57. She's just a blend.
Yeah. Anyway, so everything will be all good and stuff, and I'll leave to go to work. And as soon as I drive out that driveway, what does she do?
Every single morning. He does everything she needs in the morning. He waters, feeds, lets her out to go potty, everything. She has everything she needs. The minute he pulls out the driveway and it's quiet, she comes over and barks at me and hits my hand and wakes me up and makes me get up out of bed. There's no sleeping in. There's no rest for the wicked here. So she does that every morning. So, if somebody wants to come break in while we're gone on vacation, just know you will be met at the door with a pit bull who. Hello, Lynn. I was just speaking of you because we're talking about our Nashville trip coming up. So let me tell you guys a little bit about the Nashville trip that we have planned. We have not gone on it yet. I am still very, very involved in the planning and the plotting, and
things change.
But I'm so excited over what we're doing. So let me back up a little bit. In our live, we were sharing with you that I had already started looking for different things to do depending on what the location was going to be when we broke open that piñata. So I had already looked into what to do if Nashville were to win. Now, I had also done it for Mount Rushmore and Mackinac Island. I had picked out all these really neat things. So I already knew when we busted open the piñata and Nashville was chosen, I already had things in my mind to do. And so I'm not kidding. As soon as we got done with that video back in June, I started plotting and I started putting things into motion. So we were originally going to start our trip, and our first stop was going to be in Hannibal, Missouri, hometown of Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain. And I did all kinds of research on Mark Twain and about the town and the caves and the river and the things to do. I had all kinds of things plotted out.
Bed and breakfasts to stay at.
Oh, everything. I mean, I had a spreadsheet of all kinds of stuff. And we were going to go from there to St. Louis and go up the Arch. And I had found everything about Ulysses S. Grant's home there. And I had all kinds of stuff planned. A butterfly botanical garden. I mean, I was just like nailing it. Well, one of the bed and breakfasts that I really wanted to stay at is an actual home in Hannibal that Mark Twain would visit after he had, gone out into the world, and he would come back to Hannibal. He would stay with his friends. And they had a mansion up on the hill, and it has been turned into a bed and breakfast. Beautiful. And I'll put, I don't know whether I should say too much here or wait until we actually get to go and then do a video. But they've got really great hand-thrown coffee mugs from a local potter. And it's like, oh, we're getting coffee mugs because they're gorgeous. And there's the room that Mark Twain actually stayed in while they were having him as a visitor. There's another room where the bed is an authentic, handcrafted, very expensive bed. It's insured of the era back in the 1800s. It's insured for $50,000. It's like, imagine laying your head down in that bed. Well, the issue with staying here at this bed and breakfast this time, why we're not doing it, is the rooms weren't available. And I'm the type where if I'm going to plan and plot and have my mind set on something, I want the room I want. And so one room was only available one night, another room was only available another night, and it just wasn't working for me to get what I wanted. Then add on top of that both Papa Jim and I, we use CPAPs at night to breathe, to assist us with our breathing. And they didn't have plugs because this is an old mansion, and even though it has electricity, they didn't have plugs for us to plug in our CPAPs. So we'd have to run, extension cords. And I thought, things aren't lining up. Oh, the coffee cups, they're out of the coffee cups right now. So they wouldn't even have the mugs. So, like, we can't get the mugs. We can't plug in our CPAPs. I can't get the room that I want. And I was sitting there with Papa Jim, and it's like, maybe this isn't working for a reason. Maybe we need to look at something else. That, and we had family members that were like, oh gosh, please tell me, don't go to St. Louis. Please, the crime rate right there is really bad. We don't want you to go in St. Louis. It's like, we're just going to the Arch. I mean, it can't be that bad. We're just going to the Arch. Well, the more things I tried to find to do in St. Louis that interested me didn't really interest Papa Jim. It's like, do we go to a Cardinals game? Do you want to do this? Do we want to go to Anheuser-Busch? What do we want to do? And nothing really seemed to be gelling. But as far as Mark Twain, I mean, we watched Tom Sawyer, the movie. I was really trying to introduce him to all of the characters, and because you really didn't know that much about Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and even though it's required reading
Even
when we were in school,
I didn't absorb it.
right?
I did what the requirement was, and I didn't get into the story, and
like we do as kids,
especially some.
Anyways,
I was gonna say, if you, unless you're a teenager and it's something engrosses you and you want to get into it, you are not going to.
yeah. I mean, well, most required reading in school. I mean, right now at the age of 55, I might enjoy A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. But in the 10th grade, it was the most awful thing. Same with The Old Man and the Sea.
Yeah, but
I might enjoy it now, but in 10th grade, oh my gosh, it was hellish.
is it? But how old you are now? It's probably the Tale of 10 Cities.
Tale of 10 Cities now. So we started thinking about what to do, and I thought, well, maybe we'll just not even go to the east side of the state and go down the Mississippi River like I wanted to do, because I saw the Mississippi when I was a child, and I'm sure you've crossed over the Mississippi, but we don't have any real memories of the Mississippi. So maybe we need to change it and just do a straight drive and save us a couple hours. Well, imagine my surprise and thrill when I started remapping our drive and found out that we would be very close to Mansfield, Missouri. And I'm going to see if anybody says, in the chat, because some of you may know what is significant about Mansfield. Okay, Digging for Health. We'll be right back. So just looking back at everybody just saying hello to everybody. So Papa Jim came home from work one day. I was like, Papa, Daddy, we're going to be driving very close to Mansfield, Missouri. And he's like, okay, whatever. Let me back up my story before I tell you what is significant about this, adding this to our trip. In 2010, I believe it was, Papa Jim and I, we stayed at an old bed and breakfast. It was an old hotel in Julian, California. And this hotel was built by a freed slave that they called Uncle Albert. He was a freed slave, and he moved to California to follow the gold rush, and he built a hotel. So imagine going from a slave to being a business owner, prominent in the community, well loved. I mean, his legacy and legend lives on. So we stayed at this hotel, and this hotel was true to the period. Like, there's no alarm clocks in the room. There's no TVs in the room. They do have updated bathrooms for every room, but all of the furniture is period furniture. The entire hotel is as it was in the late 1800s. So we just loved staying there. So interesting. And every day at 5:00, the hostess of this bed and breakfast would open up the parlor. It had a formal parlor, and it had all of the little tables set up, and that's where we would have breakfast in the morning. Well, she would open it up at 5:00 in the afternoon for afternoon tea. So we could go in and we could have either tea or a hot cider, and they would have all kinds of old games from the late 1800s, early 1900s available if you just wanted to sit and play a game. A lot of them made out of wood. Really, really neat. So we had gone down for 5:00 tea. And being the social butterfly that I am, I got up from my table. We were traveling with another couple. They were renewing their vows there that weekend. So there's the four of us. We went and sat at our table. And I got up to go get I think I got cider. You can have tea anytime, but fresh pressed apple cider. I wanted some of that. So I got up to get my cider, and as I was walking back, there was an elderly couple sitting at a table to my right. And I thought, I'm just going to sit down and say hello because I like to take the opportunity to meet people while I'm out and about. I could go back. Oh, yeah, you can show them that picture. See if they can see that picture. This is here. Papa Jim's going to show a picture. Hopefully, we'll get the glare off of it. Right up to this camera here, honey. Let me try to get the light out of the way. So, let me see if I can help you balance. Here, rest on my hand. There's a picture from that weekend. We are dressed in 1980s attire, late 80s, prairie style.
No, not 1980s.
I'm sorry, 1880s attire. 1880s. I've got a prairie dress on that was handmade for me. He has like an old saloon vest and the shirt. So we were in the wedding, but we dressed the part.
Right.
So that's us there. So there's this couple, and I sat down. I just sat down. I introduced myself. Oh, did you find another one?
That's probably a better picture.
Better picture? You got to get the glare. Why do we have so much glare?
Anyway.
There you go. Look how serious he is. Yeah. There's one. Find the one of me drink. He brought a flask. He even had a flask, like an 1800s flask. And there's a picture of him with the flask, and I'm all mad at him. And then the next picture is me drinking out of the flask. We had so much fun. So much fun.
There's me doing my little dance.
Anyways, we had a blast. So I sit down with this elderly couple. No, don't show that one. Now you're curious, aren't you? They're all on my Facebook page.
I don't know whether that was it.
Anyways, I sat down with them, introduced myself, asked how their stay was going, on and on and on. And of course, people are usually, they're not put off when I do that, but they're a little taken aback that somebody would just sit at their table and join them. And I just sat down, I started talking to them. I said, is there anything interesting about your life that you'd like to share with me? Because I just like learning about people. And this old man, he says, yeah, he goes, there he is. He goes, you'll like this one. And he starts telling me, he goes, when I was a little boy and we lived in Missouri, my mother would send letters home to her parents and her aunts and uncles. She would write letters. They didn't have telephone. And this man, I was going to say, how old do you think that man was? In his 70s, 80s. He was an elderly gentleman. And he said, my mother would write letters home, but my mother didn't have a lot of formal education. So she was always worried about her grammar and her spelling. Well, we would walk over to our neighbors, and our neighbor, they would sit down for coffee or tea, and he would play on the floor, 5, 6, 7 years old. There was always cookies and a glass of milk for him. And his mother and this neighbor would sit, and the neighbor would go over the letters and proofread them and help her with any changes that needed to be made to spelling or grammar. And I was like, oh, that's really neat. He says, and we would stay. He goes, I would just stay and play on the floor and eat my cookies. And he goes, we'd stay all afternoon until Almanzo came home. And I said, what? I knew right away. How many people are named Almanzo, which really it's Almanzo. But he says, Mother and I would stay until Almanzo came in out of the fields. What? What? I said, what are you saying? He says, I'm saying that our neighbor was Laura Ingalls Wilder down in Missouri. I was like, you're pulling my leg. He says, no, I'm not. I'm not pulling your leg. I said, they lived in Walnut Grove, Minnesota. And he says, but later after they got married, they moved to Missouri. Their home was in Missouri. Well, I didn't know that. I had been a fan of Little House on the Prairie and even read the books and stuff when I was a teen and an adolescent. But I hadn't realized that Laura and Almanzo moved to Missouri because that's not in the show. And I said, you're pulling my leg. And he's like, no, really. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, they lived in Missouri, which, people now with internet and all this other stuff, it's a little better known. So they lived in Mansfield, Missouri, which is going to be on our trip. So I told Jim, I said, we can go to their farm in Missouri. Now, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we went to Walnut Grove, Minnesota, and we spent the day up in Walnut Grove. We took my BFF who had come up to spend some time, and we went to Walnut Grove. We toured the museum there. We went to Plum Creek where the Ingalls literally had their dugout in the side of a hill, and it has since collapsed, but we went where the dugout is. We went where the girls played in Plum Creek. I have a great video, but I can't show it to you at the moment. But I have a video of Jim running through the field on top of the. You've got the creek, and then where their dugout was, and then the field up above, the prairie. And I have a video of him running through the prairie and through the flowers like Carrie Ingalls in the opening of the show. And he even pretends to like stumble and going to fall down and everything. My friend and I are singing the opening credits, you know, dun, 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 dun. We're having a blast. We're having so much fun. But to be right where they lived and to learn about the history, it was really a great visit. I brought home a couple of books. I brought home, I deadheaded some of the flowers from the field. So I had black-eyed Susans and echinacea. And unfortunately, they got moldy before I got them in the ground because I forgot them in the bag. So we have to go back. But so we've already been to one location where Laura Ingalls lived. And now we're going to get to go to another location where Laura Ingalls lived. And this is a visit to the home where she actually wrote the books. Where she lived when she wrote the books, where she lived the rest of her life with Almanzo at Rocky Ridge Farm in Mansfield, Missouri, which I think is funny that she called him Manly. And they lived in Mansfield. I thought that was funny.
Well, I was wondering about the Manly, and then how do you say his name?
Almanzo.
And so I wonder if that where's the Manly came from.
Well, because his friends used to call him Manny, because his name truly in the show it's Almanzo, but the real enunciation of his name is Almanzo. And you might question me on that, but you know what I'm going to do? While we're visiting, I'm going to get the docent of the library who has agreed to give me a personal tour. We're going to have a personal tour from a docent of the actual library. She's going to show us around, take us to a lot of interesting things.
What do we get to see?
We get to see, I'll say it, but we're going to get to tour her actual home. We're going to get to tour the little rock house that their daughter Rose had built for them. We're going to get to see Pa's fiddle, the real Charles Ingalls fiddle. Now, I've asked if I could please just touch it, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I do have access to somebody who's actually played Pa's fiddle, and I'm going to see if I can overlay some of that music into the video when I put a video together. So what I'm enjoying and what I'm liking is I'm reaching out to people and asking the impossible and getting answers of yes. Could I have somebody who's really knowledgeable and a docent of the museum actually spend the day with me and show me things that people normally don't get to do? Yeah, we can work that out with you, country mama. So I have it all lined up for the docent to spend the day with us. She's going to show us all kinds of things. So what I want to know from you is, what would you like for me to ask her? If you have questions that you would like to learn about Laura or Almanzo or any of the family, if you have a specific question, let me know, and I will ask the director of this museum. It's the director, I believe, who's going to get to take us.
I'm guessing that she's probably pretty knowledgeable up in the earlier before they even came to Missouri.
Yeah. And I'm learning so much stuff. When we went to Minnesota, when we went to Plum Creek and Walnut Grove in Minnesota, they have a gift shop there, and I was looking around at different things, and there was a book I wanted, and I passed on it because it's annotated. And when it's annotated, it has a book that's annotated. It has the regular portion of the book, like right here, and then on the sides it has all of the notations of how they came about obtaining the information and different side notes. And when I looked at it at the time, I thought, I don't know if I want to get into that much reading with all of the different specifics of it. Specifics. But I borrowed this one from the library. I'm reading it. I'm learning so much about Laura Ingalls Wilder. This is Pioneer Girl. This is her original manuscript. This is based off of the original manuscript that she wrote up when she started writing Little House on the Prairie. She wrote it from the perspective of an adult, and it didn't get picked up. The publishers didn't want it. So this is her original manuscript and what's based on it. But then after it got turned down, she and Rose actually kind of flipped the script a little bit and decided to write it from the point of view of a child and make it more for young readers. And that's where it was successfully picked up. But these are her words about her life. It's a little bit more raw. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say brutal, but it's not as, Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
It really is about the harsh life and everything that
It's not
that they
rainbows and
endured.
unicorns. It's,
So I've been doing a lot of research on her and her family, and it's taking me down one rabbit hole to another rabbit hole to another rabbit hole. But I'm very excited to be going there. Papa Jim is aware of Little House on the Prairie. So much so that 3 years ago, I mean, he ran through the field because he knows that Carrie falls down, and he knows the name Laura, and he knows the name Mary and Pa. And he's never watched the show. He really didn't know. He doesn't know about Nellie Olson, who's a
Right.
fictional character.
I
by the
would
way.
I would see an episode here and there as on TV, but I've never followed the series.
So we are now every day. We watch 1 to 2 episodes. We started at the very, very beginning when they left the big woods in Wisconsin and they moved to Independence, Kansas, which we were going to put on our trip. We were going to throw it in there. It was just a couple hours out of the way to go to that spot, but the actual cabin isn't there. It's a replica. It's more touristy.
Yeah.
It's got a museum and a gift shop, and then a replica of a log cabin that Charles would have built. But in Mansfield, it is the real deal. It's the real homes. It's the real farm of Laura. And in addition to going to the museum, visiting both homes, their entire farm, we're going to go to the cemetery and pay our respects where Laura and Almanzo are buried, as well as their daughter Rose. So good morning, Lisa. So I've got all this stuff planned, and I'm just constantly just feeding information into my brain, and it's why I can't sleep at night, because there's so much going on. Interesting factoid that I'll share with you guys as I'm doing this research. I've got a couple of them. Mary Ingalls was born on Charles Ingalls' birthday. So that was his firstborn child born on his birthday. How exciting is that? And then the second is did you know that there is a connection between Mount Rushmore and the Ingalls family? I was really surprised to learn this. I don't know if any of you know this. However, before Mount Rushmore was Mount Rushmore. Oh, it's so fun getting ready for a trip. I'm having so much fun. You have no idea. Before Mount Rushmore was Mount Rushmore. And don't anybody get too political and technical on me. I know it belonged to the tribes, the Native Americans, and they still claim it as 3 grandfathers. And I don't take away from that at all. I know that there's a back and forth on that about who the land really truly belongs to. However, at this time, there was an investment banker that had traveled to the Dakota territories to look at investing in some land. And there was a surveyor and a nature guide who would take people out to show them these different places. And one of those individuals who was out one day taking an investment banker, out and about. Hello, Laura. Or CB. One of the bankers was taken out by a young man whose name escapes me at the moment because my brain's on overload. Anyways, it was Carrie's husband. Carrie Ingalls had married a young man who would go out and take people. He was a surveyor of sorts. And he was taking this investment banker out into the Dakota territory. And the man said, "What is the name of this mountain range here?" And Carrie Ingalls' husband says, "Well, it doesn't really have a name. If you want it, it's yours. Well, we can make it up, make it happen, Mr. Rushmore." So the banker from the East Coast, his last name was Rushmore. And Carrie Ingalls' husband basically said, "We'll just call it Mount Rushmore." And it has stuck. So I thought that was really neat that there was that connection. So lots of fun learning that. There was another thing. I went down a rabbit hole yesterday, and I told Papa Jim about it last night. I'm sure back in the day I knew about it, but it didn't really sink in. But we all know that the real Mary Ingalls did go blind due to an illness when she was about 14, I believe. And she was sent to a blind school, a blind college, to learn how to really relearn how to do everything. And it just didn't dawn on me until I started doing this research. That blind school that she went to is in Iowa. It's in Vinton, Iowa. And so I started doing a little research about Mary coming to Iowa and spending a few years here in Iowa. And some of you may know that my mother had a traumatic brain injury in 2000, and she became almost completely, totally blind. She was legally blind most of her life. She only had vision in one eye. But after this, like she was blind, blind. She had to learn Braille. You know, she had to learn everything over. And I thought, wouldn't it be something if my mother was sent to the same blind school where Mary attended? I mean, that would be amazing, right? So I started doing lots and lots of research. I got a hold of the Vinton School of the Blind, an individual for the society there, the historical society, and unfortunately, the school has been sold to AmeriCorps, which is like a conservation corps. So it still has good use. It's being used wisely for volunteers and everything. And they do have a little area set up in the center of the main building for Mary Ingalls. But I discovered that that school primarily focused on school age children up to 21. So my mother never would have attended there, they told me. Wouldn't it have been something though? But then they put me in touch with the Mary Ingalls Society, which I did not realize there was a Mary Ingalls Society. And I learned some neat things about Mary Ingalls and about the school and everything. And so even though it didn't turn out the way I was kind of hoping, I thought it would be really neat if I had that connection with my mother attending there. It's still really neat to learn everything. So I'm just like, nom, 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 nom. I'm eating all the knowledge I can. How many library books do I have downstairs? Counting this one I brought upstairs.
More than the library has.
More than the library has. I'm just like ingesting all the information I
I
can
don't
get.
know.
So
You probably got, I don't know, 10, 12.
yeah, I probably have about 10 library books downstairs. I'm reading everything I can get about the whole thing. So that's going to be one stop. Now, while we're in that area, we're going to be staying at a bed and breakfast. I haven't even told him the details about the bed and breakfast yet. It's a surprise for him, but I'll be doing a video on that because it is such a neat place. I'm so thrilled to be going to this bed and breakfast. Really, really neat. We'll be spending one or part of 2 days, everything Laura Ingalls Wilder. Well, then I found out, hold on to your pants. Then I found out that Mansfield, Missouri is where the Baker Creek Seed Company is, the Heirloom Seed Company. You may have seen their advertisements on Facebook for their seed catalog. You may have tried some of their seeds. I am a co-host on the podcast for Around the Hay Bale, and Baker Creek Seed Company is actually sponsoring us for season 3, and they've already sent me some seeds. And as an adult, Papa Jim gets me the seed catalog, and I'll sit there and I'll go through the seed catalog and I'll dog ear certain pages and everything. It's almost like being a kid and getting the Sears catalog at Christmas time and going through the toy catalog. I go through all these seed catalogs and I have all these wish lists. Well, we're going to go to Baker Creek Seed Company. So what did I do? I reached out and I have one of the ladies who's worked there for about 20 years get back in touch with me. She's going to take me on a personal tour. We're going to go through all of the stuff where you learn about where the seeds are packed and how they're processed and how they got its start. They have a vegan restaurant there. We're going to have lunch there. But she's going to take us around and show us all of the really neat things about Baker Creek. I'm going to be doing a collection of specific seeds that she recommends, and we'll be doing a giveaway when that video comes out. So I'm going to buy you guys some seeds, and then we'll do a giveaway. So if you have questions for Baker Creek Seed Company, put them in the comments. Don't do them in the live feed because I won't be able to see them. But when this video is done, put some stuff in the comments, and we'll be able to go back and I'll. I don't want it to be the same interview over and over again that these people get all the time. I want something unique. So I've already got in my brain some unique things to ask her. It's a dream of mine to go to Baker Creek. Oh, right. Grace and Fire, and we're going to get to go. And not only go, but spend 1 or 2 half days, whatever.
I'm so tired.
Why are you so tired? You've been up early before the sun was up.
4:30.
You were up before the sun. That's why you're tired. You've already got a lot done.
Yeah, I got stuff to do too.
Oh my gosh, I didn't let the chickens out.
You didn't?
No. Okay, when we wrap this up, I'll let the chickens out. So day 1 and day 2 of our trip. Day 1's traveling. Day 2 and 3, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Baker Creek Seed Company. I'm thrilled. I'm so thrilled. I cannot wait to see what we do. Then the next 2 days, we're going to go to Horseshoe Bend, Arkansas to go visit Jim's little brother, Eddie. I met Eddie when I was 4. How old were you when Eddie was born? 12?
14.
14. So there's a little bit of an age difference. Yeah. So please keep Eddie in your prayers. Eddie has been diagnosed with bladder cancer, and this was in 2019, and he had gone through treatment, and then it came back, and he had gone through treatment, and then it came back, and then he had gone through treatment, and it came back, and this summer it came back again. So he has just completed his 4th round of treatments for bladder cancer, and I was looking at our trip details, and I told Papa Jim, I said, you know what? We need to dedicate a couple of days of this trip and just spend some time with your brother. And I would be forever affected if we did not do that and we chose not to make this part of our trip. And then God forbid something happened. I'd never get rid of the guilt ever. And neither would Jim. So we've got a beautiful cabin on the lake. And we're going to spend some time with his brother in a beautiful, beautiful location. And we're going to bring you some fun things from that place as well. And I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to be a couple of
a couple of
just relaxing days.
Probably sharing a lot of memories and stuff.
But I am going to go miniature golfing. So I'm going to do some fun things too. But we're just going to relax and spend time there. But then, and this is a surprise for my friend in Nashville, because she doesn't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, don't say anything.
Well, I'm not going to say too much, but I am going to tell everybody when we get to Nashville, we will be spending 2 days in an antebellum mansion. Where we will be staying was built in 1790 with the original floor planks and the beams overhead.
We not only have gone through the 1800s, back in the
1700s. Staying at an antebellum mansion. It is going to be amazing. I cannot wait. We're going to spend 2 days in Nashville proper then after that, and hit Broadway, and I'm not sure what all excursions we're going to do. We're not going to go to any concerts. We may go to Opry. We may go to Johnny Cash's museum. I'm not quite sure yet, because I've given my friend the reins. That's like, this is your town. Spend this day showing us anything you want to show us in Nashville. So she's going to take the reins on that day and show us downtown. Then we're going to go to the Hermitage, which is Andrew Jackson's home. We're going to have a dinner cruise on the General Jackson paddle boat and go up and down the Cumberland River. So I'm really excited about that. Then we're also going to spend a day in Franklin, Tennessee. And that's another book that I brought up here. I started making changes to our plans, and what did I find at the thrift store the very next day? The Idiot's Guide to the Civil War. We're going to be in Civil War territory. We're going to be so surrounded by history, including everything with General Jackson. And we're going to go to the location of one of the most renowned battle sites at the end of the war there in Tennessee. I've learned a lot about the families involved, some heart-wrenching tales that are true, heart-wrenching history. We're going to actually go inside some of the homes that are still standing from the Civil War, learn about the families. I'm really excited about that.
Are we going to be able to go into that one where you look at the wall? It's got
yes. The oldest surviving Civil War structure, and it's just riddled with bullet holes.
When you go inside and you turn the lights off during the daytime, you can see exactly how many holes were through this. And basically, where's my hands? Basically, you've got...
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Basically, you've got one side and the other side, and it's like this.
They were just shooting through the building.
Through this building.
Lynn's been on the General Jackson. She said she had a great time, so we're really looking forward to that, too. No, Gwen, it's not Bel Air. Not Bel Air. But don't guess anything, because in case my friend tunes in, I don't want her to try to guess where we're going, because it's a complete surprise. And it's blowing a large portion of our budget. But I told Papa Jim, we have to stay at this place.
What?
The place we're staying in Nashville for 2 days.
Do I know about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know about it.
Well, I thought it was on something. I thought it was something on top of something I didn't know.
No.
Because I mean we've got stuff budgeted out pretty close.
We're pretty close on our budget. Yeah. But when I found this place where I wanted to stay for 2 nights, and I said, can we invite my friend and her husband to stay with us at this mansion? And but it's a large portion of our budget, like a large portion of the budget. But you know what? It's something that we decided, something I desired from the beginning about this trip is wherever we went, I don't want it to be like we show up and stay at a Quality Inn.
Right.
We can go to a Quality Inn anywhere.
Anybody who knows us knows that, like, if we go to shopping in a town 100 miles away from home, we're not looking for a Burger King. We're going to be going around looking for a hometown diner or something.
Yeah, we want the hole in the wall places.
Right.
We want the unique places. So we could go to Nashville and we could stay with my friend, which we will be spending a couple days at her home. But I want something unique. And this place I found, oh my gosh, I am so excited. The history is amazing. So, but like I said, it blew like a large portion of our budget. What? Yeah, you know about it. You had to approve it before I booked it. But we're also, for those of you who know,
I'll be like washing cars on the weekends to make up the money.
For those of you who know, we are. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Joey and Rory Feek. They were a country music duo, and she passed away in 2016 from cancer. And she and I were going through treatment at the same time, and I really gravitated towards her story. So I'm pretty invested in Joey and Rory. We're actually going to drive out to Columbia, Tennessee. We're going to go to Joey and Rory's farm. We're going to go have cinnamon rolls at Marcy Joe's Cafe. I have sent a letter, an email in to Rory asking if I can have an interview. And I'm still waiting to hear back. And I told him, I said, I'm not a huge channel. I'm not Justin Rhodes, because I know Justin Rhodes got to have some time with him and do an interview. But I would like to have just 5 minutes of a sit down with Rory. And I want to interview him about his perspective of being the caregiver. Everybody knows his story about being the husband, the father, the widow, the song writer and producer and everything. But I want to talk to him about his role as caregiver. And if he has some knowledge to share with others who are put into a caregiving role when their family member is diagnosed with cancer. Waiting to hear back. If it doesn't happen, it won't. But I am going to get to meet him. We are going to get to meet him, regardless of whether I get the interview. We do have it set up to meet him. So we're not going to give any more details about that these days. But so we're going to get to meet Rory Feek.
Yeah. And anybody
she's originally from Indiana. Yes, that's why they named their daughter.
And if you don't know
Indiana.
who they are,
Look him up.
Yeah, look him up. He's actually written some pretty big songs for other artists.
He has. You'll recognize some of his songs if you look him up. A really neat thing too is I was sharing with Papa Jim is, you know, Rory bought an old farmhouse, started renovating it. Old white farmhouse. We have an old white farmhouse, and when you listen to some of their songs, we really resonate with some of the songs that they write about living a simple life in the farm and all of these things that are important to them or important to us. The caregiver role is going to blow you out if you get that interview. I want the interview for the people more than anything, but that would be wonderful. When he was renovating his home and he joined the historical society, he was provided with some letters from a woman named Josephine. The letters were written to Josephine from her husband John while he was a soldier in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. And they have these letters at the Historical Society, and I believe, if I'm correct, that family is buried on that property that they own, where Joey is also buried in the Grove. And he actually wrote a song about it before he even met Joey, called Josephine. And the chorus of it is, I love you, I love you, I love you, Josephine. And here he's singing this song in an open mic night one night, and there's this woman, and he ends up noticing her, and her name is Jo, and he's singing Josephine. He ends up marrying her, and they have this love story and live on this land, and she's buried there now, where I believe this Josephine's family is buried. Well, anyways, he made a movie, and it's called Finding Josephine, and we watched the trailer the other day. And all through this planning for this trip where I'm trying to put things together, there's times that we learn certain things about certain battles, things that went on in the Civil War down there, and I'll tear up. And I've been honest with Papa Jim. It's like, some of this I don't know if I can emotionally handle. I don't know if I can emotionally handle the death toll. There's a story of Todd Carter that we'll be covering, and it just, as a mother and just as a human being, it brings me to tears. But I want to share it with you guys.
The I don't know if you call it travesty, the traumatic of what they had to do to try to preserve life, and the piles of stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's gut wrenching, but it's real and it's history.
It's real and it's history. And unfortunately, good or bad, it's our history. And I that's another thing that I wish I was more in tune in school to learn more about stuff instead of just kind of breezing through the classes. And so now I want to.
So we've got this guide to the Civil War. We'll be reading some of it before we go. Some of it on the trip.
It was made for me.
It was made for you. It was only 25 cents. So that was great. So we'll learn everything. We're going to learn what we can about that. But there's also some battles that happened in Columbia. And of course, that family from Rory's Farms, Columbia. So we're actually going to be this weekend. We're going to be renting that video and watching it. If we like it enough, then I will be buying it while we're down there visiting the farm, and I'll have Rory actually autograph it for us because I'm looking forward to that visit. Then we're going to be leaving there. We're going to be going to Chattanooga, where there are some Civil War sites in Chattanooga. And then we're going to be driving down past Atlanta and staying the night. Hopefully, if this all works out, if I don't end up completely depleting our energy resources and our money before we get there, we'll be going to Sparta, Georgia, and staying with Casey over at Ormsby Farms. We're going to be staying at his new homestead overnight, and he's going to host us, which would be great. And then we're going to Stone Mountain, Georgia, and we'll be touring everything there is to see at Stone Mountain, Georgia. And little known fact, Stone Mountain, Georgia was actually originally commissioned to the artist that did Mount Rushmore. He started it. He had a grand plan for it. He started it. Something happened. He didn't get to finish that commission. He left and he went on and he later did Mount Rushmore. But somebody else, they took all of his work and they sandblasted it, got it off of there. And then they have what is there now at Stone Mountain. And with everything that's been happening politically in our nation the last few years, this is one place that Jim has really wanted to go because he is, and Mount Rushmore too, because he's like, at what point does somebody decide we don't need that anymore? And so we're going to get to go see that.
I mean,
Casey is sweet.
Statues and monuments and stuff, that's one thing, and some of it was moved, some of it was, I call it vandalized, but the big like Mount Rushmore, the big, I'd really like, not that I'm really wanting to go to the New York, I'd like to see the Statue of Liberty. Because you don't know what somebody's going to do. I mean, you don't know. And I've always wanted to see it anyway, and so I think that's going to be another trip that we're going to do, is we're going to go up to that way. And
we'll see, if we choose that trip, we'll go to New York and we'll go to Niagara Falls and do some leaf peeping.
That might be a leaf peeping.
And that was another reason why we decided not to take our trip in the summers, because if we take it in the later fall, we'll get some leaf peeping into. Right. So Lynn, this is where I'm glad you're still in the chat, because I want to ask you. Lynn is a member of our Team Weenie Watchers, and she has obtained an adventure pass for our visit on this trip to Nashville. And so she'll be getting a shout out in a video, and we'll be sending her a postcard. But I want to know, Lynn, do you want your postcard to come from Nashville proper, or do you want your postcard to come from the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum? So let me know, because I want to make sure that when I send you your postcard and when I do the video where you'll get your shout out, that I make sure I do it where you really want it. I would hate, and I've already mulled this over in my mind so much, I don't want to send you something from Nashville and then have you say, oh man, I really would have liked one from the Laura Ingalls Wilder home. So let me know which one you want. And if anybody else is watching this and you want to be part of Team Weenie Watchers and you want to get an adventure pass, they're $5. The information is scrolling down at the bottom of our ticker tape here. It's $5 to my PayPal. Make sure you send it as friend or family. And that just helps with purchasing the postcard, getting the postage for the postcard, putting a little money in our gas tank. We really only make cents, really. But it's a way of taking you along with us on our trip. So we've already put out the video for our trip to for the Weenie Watchers when we went to the the kites out on the frozen lake of Clear Lake. And then we have the footage for our Hella visit, which I'm still editing because I took so much video of all of the beautiful tulips. I think there were 250,000 tulips. I didn't take a picture of each one. And then we did our murder mystery adventure with Colonel Mustard, an investigator. But then my phone died, so I don't know if I can retrieve any of the footage from that. So I'm still looking into that. But we're going to be doing this really great trip, going to these great places. And just if you want to join in for $5, I will share with you that there is a much more recognizable, well-established, larger channel out there that does something similar, and it's $35 a postcard. So $5 so you can join the adventure, and we'll send that out to you. So Lynn says, Laura, you want your postcard to come from Laura Ingalls' home, the home there? I'll do that. I'll find you a really nice one. I'll send you that one. You and I have been talking back and forth about where to send that to. We'll get that all squared away. Grace and Fire says Niagara Falls is beautiful, and she has family there. That's one place I really want to go to. That's on our list is Niagara Falls. It's on our bucket list. But we didn't choose to put that on our list this time because we did want to keep things relatively close, 750 miles from home base, which now going down to Casey's is going to add a little bit more to that. But when we stop in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we're going to go to a Civil War site there called Lookout Mountain. It's one of the more renowned battles. Mm-hmm. And I know when we started talking about battles, we kind of lost some of the viewership here. I know it's a touchy thing, North, South, slavery, but it's a reality and it's history. And if we don't pay attention to history, we are doomed to repeat it. And so we will try to be constructive in how we bring you these stories, but keep them true to history and share with you what we learn. Non-biased. It's not going to be red, blue, right, left. None of that. Just what we learn on these trips. And just before even going on the trips, I've learned so much. And I'm so excited about some of the things we're going to learn. I mean, oh my gosh, I think it's interesting. So just know that when we put those videos out, some of it may trigger or be touchy for some people, but it's our history and we need to learn it. So I don't know what we're going to do after we get done with Casey's and we go to Stone Mountain. We'll head back up to Nashville, Tennessee. We might recover a day or two and then we'll come home. But Papa Jim has taken 2 full weeks off of work.
Now, anybody who knows me knows that I don't take time off of work.
He doesn't.
I mean, I might take 1 or 2 days off and make like a 4-day weekend type thing, but it's harder to.
It's going to be interesting.
When I like to be in control of the shop that I work at, which I'm not. I mean, it's not like it's my shop, but I like to know the flow, what's going on, and when you're not there, it's kind of.
Grace and Fire says she missed that we were going to see Casey. Funny story about that is, I don't know why I did it. My friend lives in Smyrna, Tennessee. And I looked up where Casey lived because we were going to go to Chattanooga and Jim wanted to see Stone Mountain. And I looked up where Casey lives, and for some reason I thought it said Smyrna, Georgia. So I looked up the trip for Smyrna, Georgia. It's like, it's right there.
You mean Smyrna, Tennessee?
No. My friend lives in Smyrna, Tennessee. I thought Casey lived in Smyrna, Georgia. I thought, isn't it funny they both live in Smyrna?
Oh.
So I told Papa Jim, I said, we can go see Casey. And Monica Bland over at Bland's Promised Land Ranch helped me kind of say, Casey, you should let her stay at your place. She just threw it out there because we were going to get a hotel. And so we're going to see Casey and everything. And partway through, after I really start putting all of the balls into motion, right, I realized Casey doesn't live in Smyrna, Georgia. Casey lives near Sparta, Georgia, which is an additional hour and a half past Stone Mountain. It wasn't a half an hour before Stone Mountain. Now it's an hour and a half past Stone Mountain. So Papa Jim came home from work one day and I said, honey, we've got it all worked out to spend some time with Casey down at his new little homestead. But I messed up, and it's another 90 minutes past where our destination is.
So he's in Sparta?
He's in Sparta.
And not Smyrna.
Not Smyrna.
So
I know. I missed it by that much. And I said, what do you think? He says, well, go. It's not a big deal. We'll go. So we're still going to plan on seeing Casey. We're really looking forward
Yeah.
to getting to see him in his homestead, and he really is such a great kid. So we're going to get to do that, and then I don't know what we're going to do after that, but I'm trying to find all these little neat things to do. It's only an hour and a half, right?
So basically, what I've taken out of her planned trip is that when we take our trip, when we get back, and then I go back to work, it's to rest.
Going back to work to rest because we're gonna have one foot in the grave by the time we're done. I went into town yesterday to start putting together little things for our trip. Every week I try to buy one little thing to put in the suitcase, and so by the time we're ready, we'll have everything
How big's your
ready.
suitcase gonna be?
I just got a little Rolly suitcase.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I was like hobbling around the house last night. My feet were hurting. It's like, how are we going to do all of these things that we want to do if my feet hurt this bad already? I mean, I'm talking trips to Rock City, trips to waterfalls, up the tramway. And the thing is it depends on how much money we have. But I mean, I even have us going back, either straight back to Tennessee, depending on how tired we are, or we might venture over to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I don't know.
And we might
yet.
do that. Who knows? You don't know which way the wind's going to blow. Anyway, that's why they make over-the-counter pain relievers.
And I've already bought some to put into our travel bag.
So,
you'll need a vacation from your vacation, right? But you know what? It's been a long time since we've taken.
We haven't taken
a relaxing vacation. Relaxing. It's been a long time since we've taken like a purposeful vacation, other than to go see our children. When was the last vacation we took? Jamaica? 2009?
We went to
2008? Mexico. Oh, we went to Mexico in 2010. We did go to Cozumel or Playa del Carmen. That was 2010. So it's been at least 12 years since we've actually like packed a suitcase and gone on a vacation.
But we went and visited. I went to go with my brother from Texas. Went to go see my mom in California.
Yeah, that's not a vacation.
Right.
Going to see family, going to see our kids, going to see your mom. That's not like vacation. That's a family.
Debbie Denise Jones, she didn't mean that. It is a vacation.
It really was vacation, but you know what I mean. A destination vacation. We haven't had a destination, so everybody's kind of chatting here. Okay, so Lynn, I'm going to send you your postcard from there. Is there a link to the trailer of Roy Feek's movie? Yes. There's okay, so look these up. Who asked that? I have to scroll up to see because I can only see the question. I can't see the author of that question. Great question. Okay, Gwen. First of all, look up for Joey and Rory, look up the video, Josephine. That's the music video where they sing the song, and you'll get a little bit of background of the story. And I'm telling you, it's a tearjerker. Just the music video is a tearjerker. Then you can look up the trailer for the movie, and the movie is called Finding Josephine. And then there's a 30-minute documentary on the making of Finding Josephine. And then if that interests you enough, then you can just do a search. I don't know if it was on Amazon Prime.
For what? For the movie?
To rent it?
To rent it? It'll tell you.
We did a search, and we saw that we can rent it for the night for $4.99.
Right.
So we're going to rent it. Like I said, if we really love it, then when we're down in Tennessee, we're going to buy it.
Right. Or I think, did they say they got released at Walmart?
Oh, it's available at Walmart. Yes. Oh, I didn't look when I was at Walmart yesterday. I should have.
Because I would have.
Yeah, but my thing is I don't want to buy it. I want to rent it. If we buy it.
Okay, hang on. If you buy it and it's not much more than renting it, then when we go down there and we buy our signed copy, then you could re-gift it, the original one, to somebody, or use that as a rental. Because people say, "Oh, I want to see that. You have a copy? You're not gonna give me your signed copy."
That's true. I'm not giving away my signed copy.
See?
If somebody wants to watch it that bad, they'll rent it. Nobody's gonna get mine. New comments, it says.
New comments.
Yes, he has a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
We've been following him for a while, and like I said, she was going through treatment when I was going through treatment, and I think they're a wonderful family, and I think he's a wonderful testament for tenacity and soldiering on.
I was real close to his position, so
yeah.
I know.
Matter of fact, we watched his movie To Joey with Love. when that came out. And we watched it, and then Papa Jim said, never again. I watched it once. I will not watch it again because it's too real for him. Because he was my caregiver when I was going through cancer. And
not knowing
the
it's just I can't tell you how traumatic of an experience it was for at least probably, I don't know, 24 hours or whatever. The first 3 or 4 hours was my head was spinning so much I couldn't even.
Yeah, he was so distraught the first few hours after they gave us the diagnosis. He actually cornered a doctor in the corner and almost threatened him with physical violence to know what was going on. Like he cornered him.
Right, because
He needed answers.
Right. Well, the deal is that you don't know if they don't know or they don't want to say anything in front of the patient, and
He excused himself. He goes, "I'll be right back." And I didn't know he'd gone out and like cornered the doctor in a corner, like, "Tell me what you know." Anyways, we don't want to go down that dark path.
Security to the emergency room, please. Security to the emergency room.
But I'll tell you something. That first go around, that was on a Friday.
That was on.
It was on a 4th of July. I think I got released on the 8th of July. He didn't leave the hospital the whole time. He slept in my room. He took care of me. He painted my toenails. He never left me through that first initial hospital stay when I was first diagnosed. Good man right here. Grab your change jar, good man.
Right.
Let's tell everybody.
I got some work to do here.
We got lots of work to do, and I have to let my poor chickens out.
Yeah.
So, as we said during our entire time that we had our pinata stuffing for 26 weeks, and we put money in this jar every week. This is going to go on our trip with us. We're going to use it for incidentals, like when we go through the drive-thru and want to get a soda, or if we want to stop off at the truck stop and get something to snack on. That's what's going to be. This is the funding right here. So we told you every week, pay attention to how much money we put in here because we were going to be having a giveaway. So we determined the winner from the live where we actually bust open the piñata, and we asked everybody to give us their guess as to how much we have in here. We have about $112 in here. I know that we're off by $1, and it says we have $111 and change.
Right.
So we were off by $1. So the Country Mama Musings and Papa Jim's Garage subscriber that came closest to $111 and change without going over, drumroll, Papa Jim, is Tiny Tim Posey. So Tiny Tim, you don't have to be here today. That's okay. We'll get in touch with you, but you get your choice of one of 3 things. You can either have us order for you and send out to you one of these really cool mason jar banks.
So you can flip it over now.
Without the change.
Show them the.
I don't know if the LED will show up.
No, I'm just wanting so they can see the top of it. He can see the top of it, so he can see what it's going to look like.
This is $111.34.
Yeah, but that's how the top looks.
Yeah.
So.
And as you put the money in, it adds the stuff in there. So Tiny Tim, you have a choice of the bank, or if you like, you can go to our merchandise store, and I can give you the information for that, and you can pick out a coffee mug. You can get one that says "Wrap your mitts around 2 hot chicks" that has me with a little baby chicken, or you can have the one where I'm a cartoon in front of a barn, and it says there. Once upon a time, there was a girl, and she said, once upon a time, there was a girl who said, let that go.
Yeah.
And she lived happily ever after. So we've got a couple of mugs you can choose from. Or the third option is some kind of fun souvenir from our trip to Nashville. So those are the 3 things you have to choose from.
And from the trip to Nashville, I'm even going to go... If you want something from a period of, if we do the Laura Ingalls, we do this somewhere in that region of Nashville. If you want something from one of those, I'm willing to pick up something from one of those.
Custom requests, or are we going to pick up some random things and then do a giveaway?
No, I'm talking about because if he picks up
you're talking about Tiny Tim,
right?
Anyway.
Right.
I thought you were putting it out to everybody. It's like, oh my god,
for Tiny Tim, that he can kind of, amongst our trip, he can kind of pick if he wants a theme of this, a theme of this.
Right. Yeah. So if
Yeah.
Tiny Tim catches this and he says, "Hey, I don't want anything from Nashville proper. I want something from Laura Ingalls, or I
Right.
want something from Baker Creek Seed
Right.
Company,
Or something like that.
or
right.
something from the Civil War era," if you visit one of those little places, then we'll do that. I'm also trying to squeeze in a trip to Cooter's Garage from Dukes of Hazzard for Papa
I'd
Jim,
like to go
because
see
he
that,
would like
'cause
to go do that.
Yeah, you know, why Country Mama was a Little House on the Prairies fan at that same era. I was such a big Dukes of Hazzard fan that I had a cassette tape recorder, and I used to, before DVDs, DVRs, VHS, whatever, I used to audio record the show, and then me and my friends, we would play it back and listen to the show, and we could see it in our heads, the different scenes of the chases and stuff. It's the funniest thing. So.
And I'll leave it at that, because we know.
Yeah.
We know why they watched Dukes of Hazzard. It wasn't for the car.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't for Bo and Luke Duke.
Yeah, it was.
It's for Daisy Duke.
Who's that?
Oh, Cooter. So we're going to try to go to Cooter's Garage as well. I just don't know how much we're going to do before we just wake up one morning and say, I can't even move. I can't do this today. I had told myself when we do certain things, we're going to take a Sunday and just relax with my friend and have coffee. And then it's like, but we got to do this and we got to do that. And I got to squeeze it all in.
And we hopefully we'll get back to where I can have at least a full solid day to recover.
You'll have a full solid day to recover before we have you go back to vacation or at work there to get away from your vacation.
All right, I got a car in the garage. It's up on a jack. So
speaking of, if you haven't yet, go on over to Papa Jim's Garage. That's his new YouTube channel. He's got one video up. He's got a handful of subscribers.
He'll be doing
more DIYs.
Yeah.
And try to save you guys some repair costs on some things that you could easily do.
Another thing too is if you see this, leave a comment or something if there's something that you're interested in or something like that, and I'll see if it's something I can work in.
Yeah, yeah. So before you leave out of here today, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, which you probably are. Subscribe, share with your friends our channels, and we are going to have some really great videos coming up. I'm so excited. Don't know if we'll be going live again before we do that, but we do need to get another when we're done with this trip, which we haven't said when it's going to be. We will be getting another piñata and starting another piñata stuffing series, and then we'll have, I don't want to say we're going to have 5 new destinations, but we will have 5 destinations to choose from again. And because my mind never shuts down, we have an exciting trip coming up that's not going to be in our Team Weenie Watchers as far as our piñata. We might take Colonel Mustard with us, but we have an exciting trip coming up. I don't even know if I can say what it is to tell. I'm not even going to say it. We won't do it while there's snow on the ground. We will not do that because we have to have good weather for what we want to do, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Jim, you're at 17 subscribers. So, all right, guys.
Everybody. So.
All right, guys. Let's just say we've got something coming up that involves the legend of Buddy Holly. I'm going to leave it at that. And it's fun. That's your dog making that noise. It's not my tummy. We ate breakfast. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go let the chickens out and give them some breakfast. I'm such a bad chicken mama this morning. And I'm going to get on about my day. I'm going to see about for Glenda starting my video today or tomorrow for making the apple butter in my turkey roaster. And then I've got a fermented tomato video coming out. Can you imagine
what the house is going to smell like?
It's going to smell like fall. Oh, I love it when the house smells like fall.
What's the thing going around? What's the coffee drink that everybody's talking about fall? What is it?
The pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. We're going to have
apple butter, cinnamon, and clove. It's going to smell so good. Can we do our own applesauce? Yeah. Can we do our own applesauce? I have so much applesauce in the pantry from last year. It's not even funny. I don't know how many bushels our neighbor gave us.
I want a jalapeno applesauce.
I can make that happen for you.
All right, everybody. I got to go.
All right, friends.
All right, thank you, guys.
Love you all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. And broadcast. Love you guys.